Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm your host RT, and today it's going to be a follow-up video on is Arcade 1UP dead? Now in this video I go over some of my personal ideas that I think might help Arcade 1UP in the future, and maybe they might get out of this hole they've dug themselves into as far as re-releasing the same games over and over. So number one, I think one of the main things, they'd have to change their image. Okay, so one thing I thought of, maybe they might try something like maybe making a version of their machine in a Japanese style. And what I mean by that is maybe make like a candy cab version of Arcade 1UP, maybe have something like a sit down version. I mean, they're all small, but maybe have a dedicated sit down one. Now I know those cost a lot of money, but you wouldn't have to put that much into them. You can keep the same materials they use, but at least change the concept and the idea of what they're trying to sell, and then maybe get some games that were great in the Japanese market that American players want to play. Maybe like some of their puzzle games, some of their fighting games that never made it overseas. I mean, the potential is big with that, and I think people having a new way to play with something like that, kind of like the Unico Nova Blast is doing. You don't have to make it that in depth, but maybe just kind of give the feel, because Arcade 1UP at its core is a home arcade system. So basically it's made for the consumer. It's consumer grade. Another thing I thought about was maybe having a widescreen edition, so I know they have widescreen editions in their pinball machine, 27-inch I believe the screen size is, but why not make a horizontal one? That way you can update your game catalog, games that will actually fit, that are actually designed for a widescreen design. You don't have to put the most expensive one in there. You can put because their screens aren't the best right now, so you can get a widescreen one for not a whole lot of money. It doesn't have to be like 32 inches. Now if you want to make a deluxe like 32-inch, that would be something. But if you want to keep it in line with something that people can afford and keep the cost down but still make a profit, maybe put like a 27-inch screen, at least 24 inches, widescreen, HDMI. That way, people might be more inclined to spend a little more money for a lot more real estate on their screen. And it also opens up your library for, newer games that actually need to be in 16:9 dimensions. So that's another way maybe they can do it. Another thought can be along the lines of maybe make a machine dedicated to indie game players, people that are have designed for indie games. And what I mean by indie games is they're like games that are made by small developers, and a lot of them have that 8-bit look to them, and a lot of them will translate well over to an arcade platform. So instead of having a controller, because you don't want to have a controller on an arcade machine, right? But you can have it to where maybe it's like a control stick in certain games that play well. Like they have lots of like Metroidvania type games. They have first person shooters, shooters, shmups, not first person shooters, shmups is what I meant to say. And you can have like a bunch of games like that, and there's tons of indie games and indie developers that have that already made. You can translate it over to your Arcade 1UP. Another good idea in my opinion would be expanding on the IPs you already have. I mean, you've done Capcom games, and I don't know if they still have license with these franchises, but if you do, explore the catalog a little further. Make it to where now you're looking at instead of just Street Fighter, maybe you're getting the Alpha series. And I know it's a leak saying they're supposed to get Alpha series, but maybe get Third Strike. Get games that people want to play. You can do that with Konami. If you have, and maybe make some new, and that's easier said than done. I understand IPs it's not you can just go out and just ask somebody and say, hey man, do me a solid. I know you got to put work and money and negotiations into it, but still, it's an idea. Another idea is probably maybe have some type of online, activity where basically you're an online network where you can download more games. So let's say and you can maybe charge a little price for them, kind of like other multi-cades do. But you can have, okay, I got this game right here, and I got 5-6 games on my machine, and now I can just say, okay, well, this is what's in the store. Make a Arcade 1UP store, where I can actually, instead of having me buy a brand new machine, I can just take my existing machine and download some of the games. You know what I mean? So if I have a Street Fighter machine that maybe I can download Third Strike, or I can download Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I just pay a price for that. You know what I mean? And I know that can be expensive because it has to go into the licensing with them, but it's still an option. It gives somebody more ways to play your games. And last but not least, I think one thing that might help out would be, and I know this is a stretch, a far cry and a stretch, but one would be to maybe get like partner with Nintendo maybe. And I know that's asking the world, but I mean, maybe people would like to play those old, I know Nintendo's not going to really sell you their games to play on their platform, but I mean, a partnership would be good. That we can maybe have like that old pick 10 Nintendo arcade machine they had, or maybe even Sega. Maybe they got a large catalog of games, that people would love to play in an arcade one-up machine. Neo Geo is a thought. I mean, I know, like I said, I know they make Neo Geo little consoles. I know all these console makers, they have their own versions of it. But I mean, maybe you could try to pair with one of those. I mean, I think that would be huge. I mean, play Neo Geo on your arcade one-up machine, or open up that library, to where you can play like Samurai Showdown. And they had a large catalog of games that'll fit. And going back to the HD screen, I don't think I could really ask for more modern games, because you would need a modern computer inside of your machine. I know you got that little chip in there, a little board that runs the games, but to play like a major game like maybe a Street Fighter 5 or new versions of Samurai Showdown, or Guilty Gear Strive or anything like that, I understand you're gonna need a powerful chipset to run that, and you're not gonna make a big profit selling that chipset. But there's other games prior to that, like maybe you can run like an old 360 game, 360 level of games, what I mean, where they had widescreen, they were fighting games and stuff like that. Maybe you could run those. I mean, who knows? But I mean, that's just some of my thoughts on what they can do. So basically, redesigning the machine, different styles of machine. And another thing, finally, I would say maybe dedicate your machine to what it's playing. And what I mean by that is, don't sell a bunch of just Pac-Mans and a bunch of, get like you got X-Men machines that are playing, I don't even know what they play. The X-Men machines playing like, Mercs or something like, something that doesn't even match. You know what I mean? Try to keep them all cataloged together. So if I buy something that's a indie games version of the machine, then that's what I'm going to get, indie games. If I'm buying a fighting game machine, then that's what I'm going to get, fighting games. If I'm buying a retro arcade version, then all my retro arcades are going to be on there. You know what I mean? So that's just some of my thoughts and opinions on, I think, what Arcade 1UP can do to maybe try to, inject some life into it. Because I'm just going to be honest, I feel like playing those old retro games from the 80s and 90s, yeah, we're kind of past that. So we're kind of, I think the fans and your audience is probably wanting something a little, a little beefier and a little more modern, So that's just some of my thoughts on it. I mean, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Just let me know in the comments what you think. If you have any ideas that you think Arcade 1UP can do to, maybe prolong their life cycle, or just maybe, do a whole 180 and get back in the spotlight again, But just right now, I think Arcade 1UP is desperately needing to do something else. So let me know in the opinions, guys, or in the comments, guys, what you think. That's gonna do it for this video. As always, take care of yourself, protect your inner peace, and God bless. We'll catch you on the next one.